Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a video looking at the Nebula buff. This video is going to take a synergy. It's also going to look at a comparison of non-Suicide Masteries versus Suicide Masteries in comparison of the damage potential, and especially with those amp charges, electro charges formerly, although they haven't, I don't think, changed the naming of it on the Proxima synergy. Nebula is an amazing candidate for being with Suicide Masteries, but I think it's always good to get that kind of realization as to like, well, what is the potential damage that she can do? What are the other things that she's been added to her kit or improved from her kit? And I think for me, there's going to be some footage as well we're going to look at in a moment, which looks at utilizing that power lock and how effective that can be, and the increase of that shock if you then do an SP2 after kind of building up the charges. So you kind of go, and we'll show you in a minute, like you kind of like dash back, hold the block, and then you kind of build up your SP2, well-timed block, SP2, or past the SP2 point, throw an SP1 as soon as possible, and what you do is you have this elongated power lock, which is going to be really handy for dealing with certain champions that maybe build power very quickly, so that's always very fun. And the SB2, I know a lot of people kind of like change the champion. The thing is, the way that this champion is played is exactly the same. It's just a case of like the process in which to get there is really quickly to a point that you're able to, with a 5-star, and I'm not sure with a 6-star, I would say it's going to be less, that, you know, less than 50 hits, you're able to knock out a champion with a 500k hit pool is pretty darn impressive. Even more so because it feels like the block proficiency, or the being in the block, is taking less damage through the block, which is great for the champion's rotations and play. So this is what I'm finding with kind of playing the champion, to a point where I may change what I'm doing with my special crystal opening. I'm like, first of all, well, she's in the 6-star featured, and I'm now interested in the 6-star featured version of her. I decided to take the 565 out for a spin, because let's face it, you know, throwing out a 6-star version, it may be a case not everybody has a 6-star version, but it's definitely something that I'd like to get down the line. This is the synergy that I used. I've got Proxima Midnight in order to start with 10 electro shocks, because it increases like a quicker process, but I don't have to have her in there. Could anyone really? The building of the electro shock charges or amp charges or whatever is actually really quick and really effective. There's also, I've got the AI Uprising, which is gain 70% of above power each time an immunity prevents bleed or poison effects. Handy for suicides, because what this does is it ramps up the process of power gain, and you see it just kind of ramp up. We've also got Black Widow Deadly Origin in there, because gaining an amp charge pauses all shock effects on the opponent for 0.2 seconds. Again, handy for that SP2 and kind of well-timed block, which is going to give a lot of damage. And then finally, I've just put in Gamora just for the sake of it, but I could put in any other champion to kind of amplify that. It's still a pretty cool just pretty cool setup, pretty cool, love it. Oh, and what goes hand in hand is Gamora synergy with Nebula, which is that the first SP1, first special 1, each fires guaranteed critical hit. The same is true for the first special 2, so that slightly helpful, but you know, any case. Let's get into some footage, and let's go with non-Suicide Mastery damage potential versus Suicide Masteries. Let's now rock and roll with the footage. So on screen right now, we've got non-Suicide Mastery action in place. Now, I have to be very careful here on minding the percentages. So we go from a 97, which is now 96% at the point of that SP2 launching, to 40%, 14k per tick non-suicide right there. And then kind of like going across to like the SP3. I wanted to kind of like get into a point of trying out different things with the champion, but there was a 27% damage take there with non-Suicide Masteries. Now I do have the stats for what you're going to see with the Suicide Mastery version, which is like there's a 10% difference. That's how striking it is. There's when we get the Suicide Masteries information, I'll probably put information in the description, but you can see here by hitting off the SP3, which is important. Like I wanted to test out certain things, and that you get the weapon overcharge passive lasting 25 seconds, while active Nebula has a 65% chance to gain an amp charge when making contact with the opponent. So yeah, you know, SP3 rotation round, getting that power lock in place, it does mean that we're then able to fire that SP1, suppress power that's being created And you know, that's cool. If you want to play that champion, you can see that power lock I'm trying to display right now, as just shows the length of time that's on. That's a long ass time for that power lock effect to be on. So yes, and that basically, whilst that weapon overcharge passive is on, 75% chance to get an shock debuff, which helps with the ramp up. Now I believe this is now with Suicide Mastery set up, and that again is a key thing. I'm building up to my SP2, kind of like dropping back a little bit, you know, building to 20, as a lot of you know, build it to 20 because you can reach that of the max and the amp charges. And then we're going to do one well-timed block, which is going to be coming up soon. I kind of think, oh, it's a well-timed block. It's not. Right, there we go. And the SP2 goes in. Remember, 14k per tick before. Now it's up to 25k per tick right there, just right at the bat. And to give you some stats, some info for those that are interested. So if you take that damage was 37% of Winter Soldier there, that's 202,676.38 damage. That just gives you an idea of the fact you only need to do 2 of those in the fight, and then it's going to be a game over right from there. So that's just, again, just goes down to how impressive that how impressive Nebula is on that build up of just simply doing that, just doing the well-timed block and then throwing off the SP2 just to do all that damage. And as I said, like, it may have been best for me to then throw an SP1 to then power lock with that as quickly as possible and build past the SP2. But yeah, it just goes to show like the expressive nature of that buff just massively ramps up this champion and makes it really interesting. Now if I throw the SP1 and I had a shock effect on, it would be more beneficial to then do that power lock effect. And definitely Nebula is going to be an impressive option month in, month out. I mean, not to say she wasn't before, but I just think with this process, if you had Proxima Midnight in the team, it's going to be more beneficial for the champion to then get, you know, quicker rotations, more usable, more bigger punch, bigger interest when it comes to, you know, Suicide Masteries. I mean, it's basically the same rotation of the champion you're using. It's just a bit more now to the kit that makes her fun. She's fun. Now she's a little bit funner with bigger numbers. So yeah, looks great, especially as Suicide Masteries. Extensive amount when it comes to that debuff there. Great, as we said, for Cavalier difficulty. If you've got the Shocking Revelation node that you're going up against. Yeah, very enjoyable. I must say, like, if you're looking for an option that's double immunity tech and want to rank her up, go for it, because like she is a solid option. That's just been the little video right there. I did try her out in a few things, especially stuff with its biohazard. She's always been great against biohazard. In any case, thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Probably a little Karnak video or something. Bye bye for now.